Okay, so this is part two of starting design work for the lamps. You can see it's sort of right at the end here. This screencast is going to be about using shapes. The first thing, using shapes, and then also talk about sort of quickly, if you're going to just do a repeated pattern all the way around, like you actually can erase some of these sides, but I'll talk about that in a moment. So if you're just going to use shapes to cut out of spaces, and you want to use like the shape menu here, and say I just want to do like some sort of design just using shapes, I can go to the pattern here. I'm going to use the ellipse, and I'm zooming in. You'll notice I control and scroll, or using two fingers and opening wide on the trackpad. So I'm in the circle now. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to draw a circle. If I hold down Shift, that keeps the circle all the same. And then I'm going to go to the fill, and I'm going to turn the circle white. And then like I can use this circle like sort of over and over, and I could create some sort of cool pattern. Now, well, you want to make sure that when you're using these shapes, so I could use Control D to duplicate. That was in the screencast before. And the thing you do want to think about is how close together things are, making sure that if you want to cut out actual circles, like there's enough space for cutting and doesn't just sort of fall apart, and so forth. So this would be like, using shapes to, Control Z, using shapes to, maybe I'll make a bigger one. And and I could just sort of fill this with different size circles, and that might be my design. And then what you might want to do is, while you're working on this, actually, is I'm just going to sort of select all of these boxes and this one. I'm holding down Shift. I got these all selected. I'm just going to group them temporarily, and then I'm going to lock them. So you'll notice what I did was I selected them all. Here, they're all select. Let me ungroup just real quick. So I just sort of dragged a bottom on the select arrow. I selected all of them. Hold down Shift. I selected this one. Now I've got all those sides together. I'm going to group them using the group button. And I'm going to rename this group. I'm just going to call it sides, just so I know that it's the sides. And then I'm going to lock them. And that way I can't move them or shift them or anything like that. And I can just and I can grab these shapes now and do different things with them. So I could even Control D and duplicate all these shapes, maybe rotate. And then I could grab all these and do duplicate, and then bring them over here. So now I have the same thing. And then I could even select a few of these and hit Control D and duplicate, rotate. And so I'm just kind of using the same group of shapes to kind of create this interesting looking, cutout. Remember, the light is going to be shining through the part that is white. So you could kind of do this with any shape or anything like that. So I'm not going to do too much more. I think you get the idea. This is sort of using shapes. You could use anything from the shape menu. If you do want to, stars make pretty cool shapes. The other thing you can do with stars, and I'll just sort of do a stars one here. Oh, I got lost stars here. If I hold down Shift, it keeps it all the same. But what's kind of fun with stars, if you go to the sub-select with the stars, you get all these cool points that you can modify. So you can make the stars pointier. You can drag these in and you can twist them. So you can make some cool sort of different star shapes. The thing you want to make sure of is thinking about cutting out, the laser cutting this out. So stars are fun to kind of manipulate. You can also do that with triangles. One thing you'll notice over here in the appearance box is you can change the number of points to any type of shape. And then you can actually round the corners as well. So, I can make a triangle, and I can round the corners, and you get kind of different shapes. And you can even create like tessellated shapes. So I could do this, duplicate this. And then if I hit Control D, it repeats it. select all three of those, duplicate. So creating sort of different patterns using shapes. That's sort of like what this first one is about. And that might be how you want to have your lamp. And with remembering that you don't want to go too close to the edge because, think the laser is going to cut there. And also you want to make sure to maintain a good amount of space between things so they can cut out and look really great. All right. So that's design using shapes. There you go. Go back and watch it if you need to watch anything more.